Hey gang, it's good to be back. Today's video is for the D Kurd users out there and pretty much just top shell only with some added extensions if you have those and you wish to explore. But everything that I'm going to explore today is relevant just for a simple top shell D Kurd Handpan. So if that's what you've got, then you can explore all of these concepts. You can get 5, 6 different scales out of just this one instrument. I'm not going to go into the theory behind it, I'm not going to get all technical with you, I'm just going to give you cool sounds. If you want to get technical and go deeper, there are 2 ways that you can do that, or more, but 2 ways I recommend. The first is you can look up some free videos by Rosie here on YouTube. She dives into the theory behind D Kurds. Or you can check out the course that's just been released on handpandojo.com, all about music theory. Otherwise, let's just dive right in. Every scale that I explore here is referring to the layout of the notes, not the actual kind of theory scale, if you like. Those are 2 different things. So when we talk about handpan scales, we're talking about layout, the way that notes are organized. And so when we explore some different scales today, we're going to be exploring different layouts. And those layouts that we will explore are some of the classic handpan layouts that have existed since very early on, some very kind of classic sounds. So I'm going to teach you how you can unlock those classic sounds on your instrument. First things first, we have the D Kurd, which of course is the classic. It sounds like this. D, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, G, A. Usually we would stop there, but now most pans also have C on top. And that is all of the notes on your instrument. The next scale that we have available to us is the D Celtic / Amara. It means the same thing, 2 different names coming from different places. And the D Celtic / Amara simply skips out this note, which is your B flat. So we don't play this note. So the Celtic scale is this. A, C, D, E, F, G, A, C. Of what you might play on a Celtic scale. So the next one is kind of a mixture of 2. If you have a bottom shell with bottom notes, and you've got an F under here, then you can utilize that to create a lovely equinox feel, a D equinox. Here I'm playing D, F, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, A. I'm skipping that G here. And we perhaps don't go quite as high as the C. A, F, E, D, C, B flat, A, F, D. Little example of the equinox. However, if you don't have this low F, you can still achieve a very similar scale, again skipping this G up here, but skipping the F as well, moving all the way up to the high C, and then you've got the classic integral scale. So next up we have the D Mystic, which I believe skips the C and the G here. There might be some versions of this around that does have the G as well. Generally I think it's the missing of the C that makes it gives it that mystic vibe. So we've got D, A, B flat, D, E, F, A, C. Two more. This one is a bit of a bonus while we're sticking with the minor sounding scales. I did say this was all for one pan, just the top scale, but if you just so happen to have another instrument that's got a B on it, instead of a B flat, see how they're very close together. Right? You could skip this B flat and play the B instead, and what you have here would be the La Sirena scale. More bonus points if you also have this F underneath as well, just to bring that scale a little bit lower. Then you really have basically the same layout as the La Sirena. So you've got D, F, A, B flat, sorry, B, C, D, E, F, A. And this leads us into a whole other world of borrowing notes. That can be a whole other video as well. The amount of scales that you can create is almost limitless if you start borrowing just one or two notes. There's so much that you could do with it. You don't need like a whole other, you don't need like to borrow like 5 different notes to make one different scale. Just by swapping out one note here and there, you can really get completely different feels. Alright, so speaking of completely different feels, those all were very minor sounding scales, very sad, mysterious scales. What happens if we go major? I'm just going to dive into one major scale here, which is the Sabye, which, if you follow my channel, you know that I love it. I have a Sabye, but I don't have it in the room with me right now. But I could play an F Sabye on my handpan by utilising this low F, or not, just by focusing on this F up here a lot more. But since I've got it, I can play F, B flat, C, D, E, F, G, A, C. And just by skipping this low A here, I've got the Sabye scale and not playing the ding either. So I'm rooting it in this F instead. And if you just use all the notes and you also use this low A, you have, well, the Sabye is a full major scale anyway, but it's worth noting that the relative major of D minor, not to go into too much theory here, the relative major is F major, which means that it shares all of the same notes, it just starts in a different place. So if you focus on the F major chord, you can learn about that in Rosie's video. If you focus on the F major chord, or this F note here, if you've just got a top shell, when you're playing, you can be playing in the relative major scale. So you don't just have to be in that minor feel on your Kurd all of the time. You can make it happy as well. So I invite you to explore that a little bit. But yeah, there are the classic scales that you can unlock with the D Kurd. My invitation to you is to see if you can compose some little pieces omitting certain notes to lean into the sounds of those different scales. All those different scales do is emit notes. They're all members of the D minor scale. They're just different layouts and slightly different feels by getting rid of different notes. So that it kind of forces you to lean into different sounds. And a fun thing to do with that as well is to kind of just be in the mystic scale, for instance. Mystic, 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 mystic for like 2 minutes of a piece, and then all of a sudden you bring in those missing notes and suddenly something really changes, right? And there's a ton of different ways that you can do that. You can also explore modes, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to do that right now, it's all very exciting, but for another longer video. So I hope you enjoy, yeah, I will see you hopefully in another video sometime. Thanks guys.